Every small business owner knows the value of sound financial advice. But where can you get the best unbiased and actionable insights from? Directly from the experts. With us today is John Pettit, one of our most seasoned accounting and tax professionals at CSI. He's got years of experience, countless stories, and most importantly, actionable tips to help you navigate the financial landscape more confidently. I'll ask him about key financial metrics, lesser-known tax deductions, common business mistakes, and the importance of good accounting and bookkeeping, and much more. So, let's go talk to John. What's an example of how having an accountant helps a business?
A lot of business owners get to the point where they're managing and they have to deal with the emotional connection with the customer a lot. And if they're feeling like they're already asking for a lot of money, they don't see how they could possibly ask for $1 or $2 more until I can show them, well, look, if you did that over the course of a year, now you'd be in a better position at the end of the year instead of feeling like you were just scraping by. Making a small change, usually on their customer-facing sales side, can make a big change to their bottom line. From a sales standpoint, people don't realize that when you're dealing in a certain volume, like an automotive repair shop, that $1 or $2 more per invoice doesn't impact the individual, but can have a big impact on their bottom line.
What are the top 3 financial metrics businesses need to keep track of?
The first one, to me, is what is that net profit percentage, right? So your net profit divided by your gross revenues as a percentage basis. That's going to depend on, your average is going to depend on what industry you're in, right? But that's a good number, first of all, to tell you how are you doing compared to the rest of your industry. Are you high or are you low? It's another good number to make sure that, hey, if everything else is working, we can fine tune from there, but that's the number that matters at the end of the day. The second one is what is your gross profit, right? If you're in an industry where you're selling materials or hard costs, and supplies, you want to make sure that your markup is correct. You look at that from your gross margin, right? Your gross margin is the revenue minus your cost of goods, right? Your gross profit, your gross margin. The third one after that is what's your total labor cost, right? Usually, again, as a percentage of gross revenues. Because again, that's going to be relatively static across most businesses. Most business owners don't realize that if you look at the labor cost, if it's a high product industry, if you don't look at the labor cost against revenue, but if you look at the labor cost against gross profit, there's a lot of translatability on whether it's a service-based business or a product-based business.
What's a lesser-known tax deduction businesses often miss?
One of the most common things I think I run into is trying to figure out how we should be handling the accounting. We've got something called cash basis and accrual basis. Cash basis is based more on when we've got dollars in hand. We don't count invoices that we've sent out and that are open. Accrual basis does, right? They have 2 different purposes and 2 different means, but at the end of the day, cash basis is almost always cheaper for tax purposes. That's going to help you build cash flow and build cash reserves faster than trying to start off on accrual basis right away and manage everything perfect. It's difficult to try and keep a good set of books on kind of running both systems. It's important to kind of use tools to make sure that you're making your metrics, but then for reporting purposes, you want to stay on that cash basis because it's going to be cheaper for taxes.
What are the most common accounting mistakes businesses make?
The most common thing I run into is when people don't have a budget for spending some extra money. I can't give you a tax deduction unless you have some dollars to allocate towards it. I can't help you set up a retirement plan if you don't have the funds ready to set aside. So there's a lot of opportunities, but it's having a budget in place saying, hey, I've got X amount of dollars that I can do whatever with, and we can figure out the details, what's going to be most effective for you, but you got to have the budget there first.
How important is it to have a financial forecast?
Entrepreneurs tend to run a lot on gut feeling. So most of the time when we go through forecasting exercises, it's usually reinforcing things that they already know. So sometimes that can be reinforcing a tax cost that they didn't really want to have to pay. But that's important because otherwise that tax bill is the last one they do pay. Well, if we make sure we're paying that with 2023's dollars instead of stealing from Q1 2024, we're already ahead.
How do accounting needs change as a business grows?
Yeah, so that's a good question. When we start as kind of a bootstrapped startup, there's not a lot of people involved. It's just keep it going, whatever, to keep the money coming in the door. We grow to kind of a second stage where there's more management involvement or activity. We're trying to fine tune some things. That grows to a point where, hey, we need more systems, better systems in place so that we can have people filter through and bring somebody else in to take over things. Usually kind of a third end, this is again along the lines of a growth of an entrepreneur, is when they get to, that entrepreneur gets to step a little further back. They have to have good reporting processes and practices in place so they can see if there's a process problem and how things are filtered, how the data is filtering back to them, or if they can see that it's a product type of problem, because a bad bookkeeper can make the numbers look bad.
Are there accounting challenges universal to every industry?
Yes. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs get started in business because they want to do it themselves. The challenge sometimes is they get to a point where they feel a lot of weight and pressure and responsibility. That tends to make them look inward and saying, why am I... They think they can profit and get ahead by managing the operating expenses. That's generally not how you're going to get ahead. What you need to focus your time on is that top line revenue, that growth. What's the sales? If that's not happening, the rest of it doesn't matter.
What's one piece of financial wisdom you wish every business owner knew?
Paying tax isn't a bad thing. Paying tax means that you're profiting. There's no such thing as a tax deduction that comes for free with no cost to you. So paying tax, we'll do your job to make sure that's as small as legally possible. But paying tax means that you're making money.
What's a clever accounting hack for businesses?
To get a little technical, I think one of them is along the lines of the, like I said, that tax reporting basis. Some industries are so focused on more of that accrual method that they don't realize how much money they're leaving on the table and paying out in tax that they wouldn't have to if they reported on the cash basis. You can take a company that's grossing up to $25 million and still report on cash basis. Most of the time, a company that size is going to want to have their management systems based on accrual basis. If you can find a way to do both, you're still ahead.
And there you have it. Incredible insights from John that can truly make a difference for your business. Remember, understanding your finances is pivotal in navigating the business landscape. So a big thank you to John for sharing his experience with us today. For all of you business owners out there, take note and consider seeking expert guidance for those crucial financial decisions. Because as valuable as this insight is, no financial advice is one size fits all. In order to really get ahead of taxes and make your money work for you, you need to have a great accountant. To learn more about how CSI can be the partner your business needs, check out our website linked in the description. If you found this video valuable, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more expert talks. Until next time, keep those numbers in check and your business thriving.